Assalamu alaikum, dear. Welcome back to the second day recap. And what a day it has been. Oh my God. Yesterday was kind of quiet, you know. It was going accordingly the way we expected, and then today everything is upside down. So before we get into some of the key matches, games, teams that have qualified, we have to of youngsters to beat Town Union to qualify for the playoffs. And, you know, I think they have won a lot of people's
the team that can qualify for that 10th position, and they did. They proved it to us. You know, it's the support from the crowd. You know, when Orlando C wins, it's like Orlando A winning a championship. I mean, the whole 50, 60 Orlando players are on the court, you know, celebrating with them. You know, that victory versus United Stars, I mean, that was a game changer. And then pulling in, who did they play? Oh yeah, exactly. Beating, you know, the veteran players. You have in one team, you have Dhanji, you have Sumar, and you have Sammy. I mean, that is a big accomplishment for them. So my hat's off to Orlando Union C. Well deserved.
Absolutely. And just to point it out, that game they played against United Stars B, they were down 7-love. They were down 7-love. Then they were down 11-8 or something like that. They came back, they tied, they went into overtime, and they took quick points right away. And, you know, that was pretty much, they knew they had to beat United Stars to have any chance to qualify, and they made it happen. So it was a very exciting game. So heads off to Orlando C. This is going to be a huge stepping stone to build for this young team because they really showed heart. As far as the standings are concerned, okay, there were some really key games. There were some unexpected games too. But correct me if I'm wrong, for the first time that I can remember, going into playoffs, we have a team A and B top two. Ali, that has never happened. Has it happened before?
No, not at all. I mean, Orlando B was, I mean, today, or it's, I don't like talking so much about Orlando. I mean, people think I'm biased, but I mean, they deserve credit. Orlando B, I mean, they beat superstar teams, and, you know, they were cruising with them, especially playing that game against Stanmore. You know, and ironically, Orlando A loses to Stanmore, you know. So Orlando B, very well-deserved second position in the ranking. So most likely they will play. Oh, okay, you will. Okay, good.
So, you know, you mentioned about them beating Stanmore and Stanmore beat A. They also beat North and North beat A. Okay, and it came down to that final game between A and B to decide who's first and who's second. And it was a good game. It wasn't like A beat them easily. It was a good game. So I would say that the B team, I mean, you have to say that's a sort of a Cinderella team because I don't think any time you have had a B play so good. But we from Orlando knew that this is a good team, right? So for us, this is not a Cinderella. It was sort of expected. But for everybody else, I don't think anybody had thought, okay, we should be worried about Orlando B.
Not at all, but if you look at it, they have the experience. If Orlando B is basically an extension of A team, I mean, most of the players there have played for Orlando A. They have played under pressure. They know how to control, you know. And and you can see the difference. Orlando A is a more fast-paced team, but Orlando B is a more steady team. But you see how strategy works. A steady team was able to beat Stanmore, you know, because they slowed their pace down, you know.
Yes, and you're right. You're right when saying that some of these players have played for A. JJ, MZ, Maza, you know, all these guys have played for A. Safe, right? So
Let's not forget Musti also. Musti has been a key service player, and as a matter of fact, in one game we saw he took 6 service points. We have to give him credit for that.
absolutely. So finishing at the top with 14 and 2. They were unbeaten coming into today. Then they lost to North. They lost to Stanmore. Orlando B finishing with 3 losses. Now we have 4 teams with 3 losses, but the tiebreaker, because it was more than 2 teams, the tiebreaker was points scored, and they were the highest of those 4 teams. United Stars finished 3rd, and New York Islanders finished 4th. So let's talk about these 4 teams. Yesterday, when we set for the recap, we were disappointed sort of in 2 teams mainly because we thought that they are contenders. One of them was United Stars. United Stars had lost 2 games yesterday. Whole day today they lost 1 game. Riaz mentioned that Turab is not playing like Turab. I think Turab played like Turab today. And they did what they had to do today. Yes, they lost 1 game, but still they are right up there.
Correct. No, Turab definitely stepped up today. He played very well, and also New York. New York, as a matter of fact, beat North. New York also beat Minnesota, and I mean, I'm sure we'll get to Minnesota later on because that's another subject on its own.
Yeah, speaking of New York, if you remember yesterday we spoke about New York is in a rebuilding mode. Well, guess what? They rebuilt overnight, right? Because New York has only lost 3 games, and if you look at their games, they are playing open heart. They are not like scared of anyone. They are playing like New York. We are accustomed to knowing them the way they are played, and I think with that game that they have, they can run the table. Do you agree?
I agree, and I think Mo Jaxie, he has stepped up a lot to take that big, major player role that Salman used to play in New York, But they say, I guess Rome was not built in a day, but maybe New York was.
Yes. And the other team that we spoke about that we were sort of kind of disappointed was Stanmore. Well, Stanmore also lost only 1 game today. And they beat Orlando A, which is their nemesis. They always have a hard time playing against Orlando A. They actually beat Orlando A. Unfortunately, Stanmore falls to number 5 because of the points forward, but they are actually tied with Orlando B, United Stars, and New York with 3 losses. So they stepped up today.
Correct. And I forgot to mention one thing about the New York games, which was an overtime game versus Minnesota. I don't know if you watched that game. New York caught up. Turab, who's their neti? Ratani, the kid. He actually hit a spike straight onto Imran Walji. That changed the game, and they went into overtime, and they ended up winning. That's a key victory for them in overtime.
That's right. And right after the game, I interviewed Bode and Mitham, and Bode did mention that spike actually changed the game for them. So kudos to United Stars and Stanmore for stepping up the way we expected them to step up. We just saw a qualifying game played today between Minnesota and Toronto North. Toronto North was a team that we expected to be a contender, and here they were trying to qualify. And then Minnesota, who had 1 loss, and that came at the end of the game, end of the day yesterday, they finish with 7 losses. That means they lost 6 games today. 6 games. What happened?
And I believe 2 of them were in overtime. One team I was surprised, and they actually beat Minnesota and also North and Allentown United is Van City. Van City also stepped up today. I mean, if we can talk all night about today. Today has been a roller coaster ride. It was going in circles. You don't know which way the games were going today. You know?
You know, if you were to ask me who were the two teams that made the most of their day today, yes, Stanmore played the way Stanmore plays. United Stars played the way United Stars plays, but they are expected to play like this, right? Orlando A expected to play. Even Orlando B, we know they were expected to play. We spoke about Orlando C and they stepped up. Van City stepped up. Van City truly stepped up, and they were playing. They were controlling the game. It's not like they were just returning and they were getting lucky. No, they actually controlled the game. They beat, like you said, some of these teams. I mean, Van City is not a team you want to face in playoffs.
No, not at all. What position? What number do they come up at? Number 6. Okay. Wow. You know, tomorrow is going to be a more interesting day because starting all the 4 playoff games, the quarterfinals are going to be very interesting. They will be upset because you have Orlando A playing North, on a quarterfinal game, which was unexpected. You would think they would meet in the semifinals, if not finals.
Yes, we have the tables are kind of. I don't think anyone would have predicted that this is how the tables are going to be. Nobody predicted North is going to barely make it into 8th. Nobody expected Van City to be 6th. And it's no disrespect to Van City. We just didn't know Van City. But Van City played, and they really stepped up. Before we get into the playoffs, we Orlando Union introduced this rule of overtime. Okay, I personally have mentioned in the previous interview with Saif and Imran during the pregame show. I thought it was a very fair rule. That whole thing about who has the service, that's gone, right? We saw 3 games today. We didn't say any game yesterday, but we saw 3 games today go to overtime. Minnesota were on the short streak of 2 of them, and obviously Orlando C won one of the game. I personally feel that rule is very fair. What do you think about that rule?
Oh, I totally agree with you. I mean, that's a very fair rule. And it's also ironic. All these 3 overtime games happened in one court, which we were marshaling court number 2. But it was very fair and square. I was expecting one of them to almost go into a double overtime, which would have been more interesting. But I think that's a very fair rule. I hope other tournaments do implement it.
So let's talk about the playoffs. We have Orlando now is playing against Toronto North, which is going to be a really good game considering North beat Orlando. What does Orlando have to do different than what they did today against North to prevail? Now, granted, from tomorrow it's best of 3. What does what does Orlando A have to do tomorrow?
See, Limbada's strategy today was
Thank you. Sorry to the viewers. The mic ran out of the battery, and I didn't know the sign language to tell you guys that that's what we ran into. So I will repeat my question just in case if the viewers didn't hear. We're talking about the playoffs tomorrow. Orlando A is playing Toronto North, something that we didn't expect. We would have expected them to play in semis or finals, but here they are. They're playing against quarterfinals. North beat Orlando today. Tomorrow it's a different day. It's best of three. But what does Orlando have to do something different to make sure that same thing doesn't happen today?
See, the game versus North and Orlando. Actually, I was surprised. Osman Limbada went straight after Imran Jivraj's line, and that was a very gutsy move on him, but he's that caliber player that can do that. Orlando has some major changes that they can do, but I guess they're waiting when the right time comes to make the changes. There are options that they have, that can actually change that situation. So let's see if they need to pull it out or not. But Orlando, if they come up with that same energy as they had in day one, it will be a two straight Orlando victory. But they have to come with that energy, that vibe where they're running around and Imran and Aliaskar Alu start attacking the third balls in the first 5 points.
And we spoke to Lambada, and he said the team strategy was to avoid Imran, but he thought, no, that is the line I want to go because I'm playing cross, and he succeeded. So he actually purposely went against that line. Orlando B is going to play Minnesota Jaffrys. In the playoffs game, the qualifying playoff, Minnesota Jaffrys took a 7-0 lead against Toronto North. And then Lambada did what Lambada does. Brought the team to 8-all, and then, of course, Minnesota won because they took 2 quick points. So now Minnesota finishes 7. They are playing against Orlando B. I don't know which Minnesota team is going to show up today. The yesterday's Minnesota team or today's Minnesota team?
That'll be very interesting. But I did talk to Mesa Mehdi, and he did mention that Imran Walji is injured. I don't know if you saw he had his left or right hand wrapped with tape. Apparently he has some injury on his arm, in his wrist. So let's hope he is back in form tomorrow. But whichever game they bring, I think Orlando B has that experience, playoff experience, being in the finals. Most of the players, they should be able to beat. Obviously I hope so, but it'll be a good match. But I think they should be able to beat Minnesota. But if they do beat them, will they face the winner of Orlando or no?
No, and I will go over with that, but I agree with you. I think B should be able to beat them. United Stars are playing Van City, 3-6. On paper, obviously United Stars are favorites. Does Van City, as good as they are playing, do you think come playoff, not having the experience as much like the United Stars have, and that Turab factor, the sometimes that fear before even the game starts, oh, we're playing against Turab, or something like that. Do you think that comes in play for Van City, or Van City can give Turab and United Stars a ride?
I think Turab is a day 3 or a day 2 on a 2-day tournament player. Sunday tournament player, exactly. I think he should be able to, with his experience, get that victory over Van City. Should be a very interesting game because Turab has played with Van City. I think he played with them in a Vancouver tournament that we had gone to Orlando and had mixed with New York. And Turab played with Van City. So Van City know how to play with him. So I'm sure it'll be an interesting game.
And considering the way they played today, they should be able to play. And Turab, I remember I spoke to him earlier today, And one thing he mentioned is that, hey, come Sunday, we are the team, and so hopefully they are the team and not the team that in London they cruised and then they faltered. So, but I think I agree with you. I think Stenmore United Stars do have a good chance against Van City. The last game, and very interesting game, New York Union Islanders versus Stanmore Jaffreys. Both have played really good today. I think overall New York has really played good yesterday and today. There is no excuse for Stanmore. Jet lag is over. They really proved it today. They played very good. I think this is the best playoff game tomorrow. Best playoff match tomorrow. Do you agree?
I totally agree. I remember when Mojack was just coming up. I think he was playing for a New York B team, and he actually beat Turab in a playoff game. So don't count out that New York team. Um, they're in the rebuilding mode. I think they have done a good job rebuilding overnight. And I do I need to call who's going to win? All right, I would put my money on New York.
I'm sure there's 10 more people would love to hear that and put it on. Think this is my opinion, right? We keep saying they are in rebuilding more rebuild. They got nothing to lose. The pressure is on Stanmore because they want to win in North America, right? So the pressure has to be them. Quickly before we wrap up, so let's see who's winner of all that, right? So winner of Orlando A and Toronto North will play New York, winner of New York and Stanmore. So the two losses that Stanmore had yesterday, this is the result. Now they have to go through Orlando, right? So they cannot meet Orlando in the finals. They have to meet at least Orlando A. They cannot meet them in the finals.
Can I stop you there? You said Stanmore will have to face Orlando, but I would say New York would have to face Orlando. Because the way I called it, because I'm expecting New York to beat Stanmore.
No, I agree. I'm saying if Stanmore wins, now they have to go through Orlando. If New York wins, obviously New York Orlando is a rivalry, okay? Then you throw in Salman's factor. Now Salman's old team versus new team, so interesting dynamics over there. The winner of Orlando B and Minnesota Jaffreys will play United Stars and Van City.
That is going to. I don't know. For some reason, I feel Orlando B is in a very, very good position to reach to that finals level. I mean, at the rate they're going, because they have a good route to get to. So I told you there's going to be two major upsets. I think tomorrow those upsets are coming.
Okay, Ali, before I end up, this is where I put you on a spot. Okay? I want predictions. I know you already gave me one, but let's run it through the whole thing, okay? Orlando A, Toronto North.
Orlando A.
Orlando B, Minnesota Jaffreys.
Orlando B.
United Stars, Van City.
United Stars.
And New York Union and Stanmore, obviously you already said New York.
New York.
All right, so we, according to your prediction, we have Orlando A, Orlando B, United Stars, and New York, which happens to be the top 4 team right now, right? So you are going with the way the standings are. If we have tomorrow as anything close to today, we're in for a ride. So I think today was a long day, but very interesting day. We got a lot of comments about yesterday's recap. Unfortunately, Riaz could not be with us because he has totally lost his voice. But it would be very interesting to see where we are. But I am so glad that we have a prediction from you. So let's see how it goes. Any final thoughts?
Yes. I hope you come early in the morning tomorrow because expect several meetings you're going to have about today's recap. But I'm sure they won't come to me. They'll go straight to you.
Yeah, I have to say, when I walked in today, everybody wanted to talk to me about recap. And who said what and who said. So, my answer was very simple. I just ask questions. I don't give answers. But I had the media team looked at it and they told me the recap yesterday was the most watched show. So I have a feeling a lot of people probably are waiting for today. I know we have been told that the recap is going to be very interesting today, and sure, I mean, predictions are there. Aliraza Manekia has made a prediction. I'm sure if Riaz was here, he would have loved to make prediction, and I have a feeling Riaz's prediction probably would have been same as yours.
I don't know about that. I mean, Riaz is, I, I don't think it'll be. I don't think Riaz would have predicted what, especially from his comments yesterday, because he was a little bit blunt yesterday.
He totally was blunt, but I'll tell you something. He made it blunt, and those teams that he criticized showed up today, right? They showed up today, and that's what makes them championship team. Stanmore, Stars, these are the teams that showed up today. I made a prediction about Minnesota, and oh boy, they dropped like a rock. But now they are in playoffs. Everything starts from fresh. There is no more points and what happened yesterday and today. Tomorrow is a whole new day. Everybody starts at the same level, and let's see where it goes.
One last question, Raza. Will there be a recap tomorrow?
I don't know, man. Unless if it's so interesting, but I think I can't promise you recap, but I hope that we are celebrating championship.
I agree. I hope so too. But thank you. Thank you to the viewers. And we will make sure there is a recap tomorrow after the championship win.
So before we sign off today, I just want to say that we did yesterday and today. We did so many interviews with so many people. We did instant interviews after the game with some players. I know I put Misam at very tough spot. I interviewed him after that overtime loss, and he was great. Him and Bode came. There are two interviews that I would want to point out that I did. One was with Rizwan Karmali and Kade, the legends who have paved the way for us. And the other one, which personally was my favorite, I interviewed two youngest kids playing in this tournament. And for those of you who have not watched this interview, listen to these two kids. Very humble. The way they explained, they expressed themselves. It wasn't just one answer, two answers. They expressed themselves. As a matter of fact, I even tried to poach them a little bit by asking them, are you going to be a superstar in 5 years? Trust me, they didn't take that bait. They did not take that bait, and I salute them for that, because I put both of them on spot, and you should listen to the answers they gave. So if you have not had a chance, please listen to this interview. All the interviews have been uploaded to our YouTube channel. Dear viewers, thank you very much for joining us. I know it's been a long day, and thank you for supporting by watching the games and all that. We will see you tomorrow 9 a.m. We will have the two games at the same time. So 9 a.m. tomorrow. Hopefully we would be starting on time, or latest by 9:30.
One last thing to the viewers, I guess. In 1 hour in Orlando, we'll be celebrating New Year. Happy New Year to you all.
Yes, Ali, Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to all the viewers. And may this New Year bring lots of good things, starting with championship.
Thank you. Peace be out.
Everybody, thank you very much, and Khuda Hafiz.